Okay, nice. Welcome to the utalic webinar. Welcome to my workflow editor webinar. Today, I want to show you how you can build custom apps with Utalic Studio and how you can use the integrated workflow editor to create the logic under the hood for your app. And I want to create a very simple application. And let's start with it right now. Yeah, for all of you who doesn't know that yet, this is utalic, a low-code application builder, and you can create custom apps with ease with it. It creates, in general, web-based software, so web apps, and you can also box them to Cordova apps, so you can run them on an iPhone, on iOS, or Android devices. And today I want to show you how the workflow editor works. The workflow editor is responsible for creating the logic for your application. So the Utalic Studio consists of two main areas. One area is the visual user interface designer. I think I showed you the user interface designer in the past webinars already. And today I want to show you how you can add logic for your application. For that, I'm creating a new project first, and I place it here on my desktop and name it a webinar. So here I have a new application, and I think most of you already know that you can create a custom design by just dragging in components from your components palette from this toolbox here. And you can adjust the design by dragging the components then. And this is how the user interface designer works. I think this is very intuitive, like you would work with a presentation software like PowerPoint and so on. So I think this is not the complicated thing. On the right-hand side of my user interface designer, I have this property edits, this property list. We name it Object Inspector. And in this Object Inspector, you see all the properties for the selected control. So when I select the button here, I see which properties does the button have. The button, for example, has a background color. You can add a caption. And when I enter a caption here in the Object Inspector, like click me, then you see the caption gets changed instantly, and you see whatever you change here live in the user interface designer, and you see how the behavior in your app will be. So you can use this object inspector not only for changing the properties, but it's also good for checking which properties some components are having. So I told you that this button has a property with the name caption. And you saw when I changed the caption, the text on the button changed. So what we have to know now for example, when we want to use the workflow editor to change the caption programmatically, we need to know the name of the caption. This is button 1. And which property we want to edit. This is caption. So now I switch over to the workflow editor by clicking this small icon on the top and change to the workflow editor. And here I have a list of all events. An event is an entry point where your workflow begins. So you can drag in this button 1, for example, and then you have to choose one of the events the button provides. So the button provides different events like on key press, on click, on mouse move, mouse enter, leave, and so on. And I want to make a workflow or a flow when someone clicks the button, and when the button gets clicked, I want to run some actions. And I want to start with a very simple action because I want to change the caption of the button by when I click on it. So this is pretty simple. Therefore, I am inserting this set property of object action here. I drag it into my flow chart, and then I connect the event with the action. So just by dragging this line, and now the event is connected to this action. The set property of object action is responsible if you want to change something that you already saw in the object inspector, like the caption. And you can select this property by clicking on this field, and then you can select which property you want to change. In my case, I want to change the button 1 caption. So I select button 1 caption. And in the value field, I can type in, for example, hello world. Hello world. So when I run the application now, then I see my click me button. And when I click on it, its caption gets changed to hello world. So this is a very simple app, of course, but this shows the general use of the workflow editor. And you can see it's very simple to add actions or to add a logic for your application with the workflow editor. To make a more complex, I would say, application, I'm inserting a few new fields. For example, a number edit. A number edit can be used to get a number input from the user. And I give it a caption by inserting a label on top of it. So I am writing in here body white, for example, and in this field the user can type in his body white then. And then I'm adding a second label by dragging in a label and give it the caption body size. Yeah. And after that, I'm inserting a new number edit as well. So now that I'm having these two input fields, I want to calculate the body mass index of the user. So the body mass index gets calculated by a very simple formula. I have prepared something for you. With an image. So I'm inserting this BMI. This is the formula to calculate the body mass index. And the body mass index gets calculated by dividing the width by the height in square. So you have to square the height first, and then you can divide it by, or you can divide the height by the square of the height. To do that, we need at first the height in square. So we need the height or the body size, this field, and we have to make a calculation. To make it easier for working with a workflow editor, I would recommend you to give your controls here in your user interface designer nice names. For example, for the body size, I'm changing the name from number 82 to EDT size, and the white field will get the name EDT white. So because when you're in the workflow editor, then you will always need the names of the edit fields, and it's very helpful to have good names and speaking names for your controls. Otherwise, you will get errors because you calculated the size divided by the width or so, because you thought a number 82 is the size or is the width and so on. So the best thing is to give your controls good names, at least for them that you will need in the workflow editor. So I also have these two labels here, label 1 and label 2. I will never need them in my workflow editor, so I don't change the name of them. It doesn't matter what the name of the labels here is. Okay, now I'm going back to my workflow editor, and now I want to change the behavior of what happens when I click the button 1. When I click the button 1, I want to create the mathematical formula for the size for this part of my n formula. And this is very simple by inserting concatenate text action here into my workflow editor. The concatenate text action is responsible if you want to add from 2 to 3 text parts together. So you can have a prefix and text and a postfix, and the result will be a concatenated text from prefix, text, and postfix. And we want to concatenate the size with the multiplier symbol and the size again. So for prefix, I am clicking on this small icon here, and in the data connection editor, I click to the link tab, and then I choose the size edit, and now I want to get the content of the size edit. So this is the input from the user. And then I want to multiply it with edt size content. Okay. Let's check what the formula or what this action results. This is a very simple task by just setting the property of an object. And now I want to set the property button 1 caption. And I want to have the result from this action as caption for my button 1. And therefore, I click the value field, this small icon here, and then I can link it to the flow control number 3. So here you can see the number of the flow control is concatenate text flow control number 3. And I want to get the concatenation result. So when I run my application now, and I click, I insert a size at first, and my size is 1.8 meters. And when I click the click me button, then I get the result 1.8 and multiply 1.8. So this is a text result. So it doesn't actually calculate the result. So he doesn't interpret this as a mathematical formula, but only as a text. To get the mathematical result, so if I want to get utalic to really multiply this value by this value, I have to insert a new action, which is named calculate mathematical expression. And you see in the workflow editor, after this happens, so if I set the caption, okay, we can delete that. We delete the caption thing. After concatenating our text, I want to calculate a mathematical expression. And the expression is from my flow control number 3, the concatenation result. Now, this action calculates what I have built in text form with this action. And the result is getting stored in this action in this flow control number 5. To show this result for test purposes, I am inserting a set property of object again. I connect this action with that action. So after that happened, I want to run this action. And now I want to set the property button 1 caption to my flow control number 5 and the calculation result. So when I run the application now, let's see what happens. My body size is 1.8 meters. When I click now, then I get the result of the multiply of 1.8 to 1.8. So now we have this part of our mathematical expression. And now we want to divide the byte, so this value, by this value, or by the calculation result. And this is pretty simple now, because we can just move this over here. We can just make a new concatenation text action, which concatenates the text size, sorry, wide. So ADT wide content, and this should be divided by the result from my flow control number 5. Calculation result. Okay, so this concatenates the wide divided operator and the calculation result from here. And now I can show, or I could show the result from this concatenation on my button. That would now show a text string again. So when I insert, for example, when I input here wide 70 kilos and this size, then I will get the result 70 divider operator and the entered value from here, and I will get it as text and not as calculation result. To get the calculation result, I'm inserting this calculate mathematical expression action again. Yeah, and here I select which expression I want to calculate, and I want to calculate the result from this flow control number 7 object, flow control number 7, and I want to get the concatenation result. Okay. Yes, and after my calculation of that, I can show the result on my button 1, and the button 1 caption should now be the result from flow control number 8. And I want to have the calculation result. So when I run the application now, and I enter a body weight of 72 and a body size of 1.8 meters, then I get the body mass index of 22.222. So this is the body mass index of a body with that dimensions. So yes, I think this is a pretty simple example how you can add actions in your workflow editor and to connect them. If you create real-world applications, this will not be that easy. And for example, to add more complexity, I want to show that you should go to the doctor in some cases. So if the BMI is larger or equal to 25, then I want to show a warning, for example. Therefore, I'm inserting a label here at this place, and I want to write please contact doctor. This label should not be visible by default. So when I start the application, I don't want to have this label visible. And now in my workflow editor, I'm inserting a flow control, a condition. So a condition checks if a particular value or a particular expression equals or is larger or is smaller and so on. And so it compares a value with another value. Yeah, and after the calculation, I want to start this condition, and the condition should be larger or equal. So this value, the calculation result from flow control number 8, the calculation result, when this is larger or equal to, I don't know, 25, then I want to show my warning. To make it easier for me, I'm switching back to the user interface designer, and here I rename the label. So actually, the name of the label is label 3, and now I want to give it the name LBL warning, for example. So that makes me easier to address the field in the workflow editor. Yeah, and in my toolbox in the workflow editor, under actions, there is now the label warning field, and the label warning has more methods, so more functions you can run on this field. And one action is show. So this shows the field. So when the condition is true, so when the calculation result is larger or equal 25, I want to show that warning, and otherwise I want to hide it. So when the condition is false, I want to hide it. So let's see what happens now when my body weight is 72 and I am 1.8 meters high. Then I get the body mass index of 22.2222. And when I start eating ice and ice and ice, my body weight is 92 at some time. And then my body mass index will be higher than 25. And this label gets shown then. Yeah, that was a short overview of the workflow editor of utalic. Thank you for joining. So if you have any questions, you're free to ask them right now. Thank you again for watching. Thank you again for joining. Have a nice day and hope to see you soon again. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.